What's up, everybody? I have some breaking news. Khamzat Chimaev has been hospitalized and is currently violently ill. His fight for next Saturday against Robert Whittaker has been canceled. The UFC sought out a replacement and supposedly had offered every ranked middleweight to fight against Whittaker. Only one accepted. It's Ikram Aliskerov. Ikram was actually scheduled to fight on Saturday against Antonio Tricoli in what was a complete squash match. And now he has a massive career opportunity stepping in for Khamzat in a fight that is going to be rather interesting, because even though Aliskerov wasn't preparing for Robert Whittaker, Whittaker wasn't preparing for Aliskerov. Sure, some similarities to Khamzat with the wrestling base, but definitely different styles. On today's video, I'm going to hypothesize what I think is actually going on with Khamzat Chimaev's health. And the truth is, his fighting career could definitely be in jeopardy. I'm also going to discuss the new main event, which is Aliskerov versus Whittaker. And according to Dana, everybody else said no. I thought maybe a Sean Strickland fight would have been better, or even an Imavov fight. They were offered and it didn't happen. So make sure you guys smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe it up. We're going to get into everything. So earlier today, it was announced Khamzat Chimaev is out of the fight against Robert Whittaker, and he was on an Instagram story in a hospital bed. Dana White confirmed that he is violently ill, and I didn't know that initially, right, when I was getting prepared to make this video. But on Twitter, when they officially announced Aliskerov as the replacement, Dana White sent Khamzat his well wishes. So it seems like he's not doing well. Now, if you know about Khamzat Chimaev, this isn't the first time he's been hospitalized or has had health issues that have kept him away from the cage. If you guys remember earlier this year, he had hives and he posted it on his story, completely broken out with an allergic reaction. And then around the time of the pandemic, he also had a lung issue, a respiratory health issue, which kind of led him to a tentative MMA retirement. I don't know if you guys remember, but at one point, Khamzat Chimaev said he was done fighting. He didn't think he'd be able to continue because of this health issue. Now, at this time, it's not known exactly what the underlying diagnosis is, but I feel like there's been telltale signs that this is something similar to like an immunocompromise, an immunodeficiency, even leading up to his fight against Nate Diaz, him missing weight by a lot. I know there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there that said, oh, that was planned because they wanted Diaz versus Ferguson instead. And maybe the conspiracy is true, or maybe that's kind of a sign that Khamzat has something internally going on that's not right. He has fought just 4 times in the past 4 years. This is bad. Now, what do I think's actually going on? Well, looking into it, him being violently ill and there having been consistent outbreaks of different illnesses for Khamzat, it tells me it is an immune deficiency that he might have. There's a telltale sign of immune deficiencies, which is frequent, severe, or unusual infections. Let's talk about these signs right here, right? Difficult to treat, such as pneumonia, right? He had lung issues, bronchitis, or sinus or ear infections as well. Another one could be skin infections. Another telltale sign, the skin infection that he posts. Man, this is interesting because I think that we're not realizing Khamzat is immunocompromised. And I know people are looking, oh, it's just one fight, he'll bounce back. But this is something that could potentially derail his entire MMA career. His inactivity in fighting, us wondering why he's not able to be active, him getting hate online as he's talking about being champ, now he never fights. He has a serious health issue. Immunodeficiency is a real problem, and having frequent illnesses and hard to treat illnesses is not a good thing for someone that needs to be in peak physical condition to do their job. To compete in MMA at the highest level, you need to be a top caliber athlete, and lung issues or skin issues that prevent you from training, none of them optimal. None of them lead to a high-level fighting career. I hope he's able to get everything controlled, but I'm concerned, man. I know it's speculation right now, right? I'm speculating that he's immunocompromised, but I feel like there's things that kind of line up, right? All these fights being canceled, the different illnesses, the skin infection, the lung infection, the weight miss. He might have some type of blood cell count issues. There's things that might be going on. Another thing that I think is a powerful thing to mention is genetics are probably to blame here. But considering Khamzat Chimaev's childhood, where he was seemingly impoverished, Malnutrition can also lead to immunodeficiency. If he was malnourished for years on end, there's a chance that even if he had the genetics for it, it exacerbated this issue and it actually became, more of a problem, which we're seeing now, in his not necessarily later stages of his career because he's really primed. How old is Khamzat Chimaev right now? I swear, he's 30 at the most. Let's check. I got to get it in front of me. Khamzat Chimaev right now is 30 years old. So he is in his absolute fighting prime. But the health issues are a massive problem, and he's unable to fight. I think Khamzat Chimaev is definitely harvesting amazing skills. I think he's probably the best version of himself ever. I'm going to give you one more symptom. His gas tank problems. Maybe his lungs can't get that next level of cardio some of these other guys can because of his consistent illnesses, because of the immunodeficiency. So I'm honestly starting to think Khamzat Chimaev has a serious health problem that's underlying chronic issues there that are leading to all these other issues piling up. And I'm genuinely worried that this could be a career-ending thing. Now, I am absolutely hoping Khamzat gets it all underlined because, shit, I'm a massive Khamzat Chimaev fan. If you follow the channel, you know I've been Team Khamzat since the damn day one. He's got amazing potential, and I do think he seemed, at least at one point, deemed to be a UFC champion. I still think the potential could be there, but the health issues worry me a lot. I hope to see Khamzat Chimaev fight again, and I would pray that it's on the sooner side rather than later. But these health issues need to be sorted out. I think he needs the best doctors in the world. We need to find out what's wrong with him. I don't know what type of medications they give to somebody with immunodeficiency, but I feel like could be something that isn't as easily treatable as you'd imagine. Like these underlying conditions, sick all the time, skin issues, lung issues. It can make being a pro fighter extremely difficult. And fighting 4 times in the last 4 years, things are not looking good. I'm very worried for Khamzat Chimaev's future. I am going to hope and pray, and all you fans should be praying too, that Khamzat Chimaev makes a full recovery and we can see him have a legitimate top contender fight in the UFC middleweight division. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. Who is the guy that jumps in? Ikram Aliskerov. He was a victim of Khamzat Chimaev outside of the UFC. Khamzat brutally knocked him out. But Aliskerov is a terrifying contender right now on the come up. Now, I will say he is not proven against top 15 middleweights. Ikram Aliskerov has destroyed Warley Alves. He destroyed Phil Hawes, but those names are not elite caliber. They're not guys that are getting me like, holy hell, he's proven to take out anybody. But if you look at his fight cancellations, he was scheduled to fight Imavov in 2023. He was scheduled to fight Costa in 2023. He was scheduled to fight Anthony Hernandez earlier this year. He was scheduled to fight Andre Muniz this coming Saturday, but then Tricoli stepped in on short notice. They canceled that bout. Now he's going out to Saudi. Badass to step in. Aliskerov recognized that this is massive for his career because if you can go in there and beat Robert Whittaker, short notice, not short notice, doesn't matter. He's leapfrogging the division and he puts himself very much up there in the title picture. Fights against a Nasruddin Imavov could be a number 1 contender matchup. He'll probably be, with a win here, on the short list of guys that could be called up for a UFC title fight. And if he's willing to step in short notice fights, you might be getting a shot at the strap sooner than later, man. Now, personally, I won't lie to you guys. I was hoping that it was Sean Strickland to step in. That would have been badass. Sean Strickland on short notice. We do catch weight, 195 pounds. Robert Whittaker, Sean Strickland. But the fight card being in Saudi Arabia, it makes sense that the main event would perfectly line up to be a Muslim fighter stepping in front of not necessarily the home crowd, right? Because he's Dagestan Russian, but, in a sense, it's a second home to these Muslim fighters over there. Now, I do think that the recognition Aliskerov is going to get with a win here is going to be out of this world. And I feel like if there's anybody to have a fight scrapped and then replaced, it's him. Because that Tricoli fight was stupid. He was a, minus 1,200 favorite? Tricoli's a guy that was at one point a welterweight, losing to Jacob Volkman. And then he was scheduled to fight against Ikram Aliskerov at middleweight after plenty of cancellations in the past. He was essentially a lamb heading to slaughter. So I actually think for his career, he should kind of be thankful. He should be like, thank you, MMA gods, for giving me a pass, because he should not have been fighting Ikram Aliskerov. Now, when I look at the matchup, I do have questions, okay? How will Robert Whittaker fare with Ikram Aliskerov's high-level wrestling, legit knockout power, and his ability to strike in the clinch? These are interesting factors. Now, definitely, he doesn't have the slick kickboxing of Robert Whittaker, but that's not his style. Aliskerov is not going to sit at range and just tee off and kickbox with you. He's going to look to close the gap. He's going to look to throw hard. He's going to make it a bit more of a sloppy fight. And I won't lie, I'm having a very hard time forgetting Robert Whittaker losing to a guy who puts a lot of pressure on his opponents and is very physically strong in Dricus du Plessis in brutal fashion. In a sense, he was embarrassed against Dricus du Plessis in that fight. Now, of course, you could say, oh, but he rode his wrong with the Paulo Costa win. Did he, though? Is beating Paulo Costa the answer? Is that the checkmate to beating a guy with high-level wrestling skills and legit knockout power? Because when you look at Robert Whittaker's history, it's not like he's taken on any of these bullying wrestlers. Like, Dricus du Plessis, in a sense, is the most comparable style to Ikram. Even though it's completely different, the fact that he uses physicality so well, there are some comparisons. Paulo Costa at this point is a point fighter, right? Wins over Vettori. Vettori's never had finishing ability at all. The Adesanya loss, which he was close in. Adesanya, a kickboxer. The Kelvin Gastelum decision, I guess in a sense, Kelvin Gastelum's an okay wrestler. But Kelvin Gastelum's not that good at wrestling. He just got bodied by Sean Brady at welterweight. Then when you look back, the Jared Cannonier win, he's a striker. The Darren Till war, he's a striker as well. I think Robert Whittaker is in trouble. This is a really difficult stylistic matchup. I think Khamzat was going to be a hard matchup too. But here's something about Ikram that exists that doesn't exist, as far as the question marks, right? Around Khamzat, rather. Like Khamzat, it exists as a question mark. With Ikram, it doesn't. It's the cardio. Ikram Aliskerov, at least as of right now, doesn't have sus cardio. I know he's got a lot of first-round finishes as of late, but he has won fights by decision before. And I know some people will say, oh, he's got a decision over Chad Honeycomb. Bro, that was in 2018. Don't write him off for that. Don't say, oh, he can't win in 2024 against Robert Whittaker because 6 years ago he went to decision against Honeycomb. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a different time. It's a different era. There's improvements. And Ikram Aliskerov is a guy that is drastically improving. And he's always been a terrifying Dagestani up-and-comer. He's only 31. He's primed for this game. He's primed for this fight. It's crazy, Robert Whittaker, how long of a career he's had, is only 2 years older than Ikram Aliskerov. You'd assume that Rob Whittaker's 40 years old now and Aliskerov is 29. This is a really cool fight, though. Like, the more I talk about it, the more I get excited because on paper, this could be one of the quickest rises to elite level in UFC history. Maybe like a Brock Lesnar's the only comparable one. And obviously Pereira had a quick run up the ranks, but Aliskerov is having a meteoric rise to the top. If he goes out and wins against Robert Whittaker, like I said a little bit earlier in the video, he's on the short list to fight for the belt, or at the very least in a #1 contender fight against maybe Nasruddin Imavov, who's coming off the somewhat controversial, but still a win over Jared Cannonier. This could be crazy. I respect both guys for accepting the fights. I respect Aliskerov for jumping in, being the only guy at middleweight saying, hell yeah, let's go to war. And I honestly got to say, you have to give praise to Rob as well, because Aliskerov, though there's similarities to the Khamzat style, which is a good thing for Rob, it is a different fight. He is a different fighter. I'll tell you this. This saves the damn card, because without this main event, this card would have been in shambles. This card would have went to hell. Everybody's worried about every damn card, it feels like. I'm worried about everything. 303, this one, that one. Pavlovich Volkov could not have held it down as a main event. It would have been like, all right, whatever. But I know that Riyadh season, Saudi Arabia, they needed a banging main event. And Ikram Aliskerov is that guy. Bringing a Muslim fighter versus Robert Whittaker in a very high-stakes fight where there could be top contender spot on the line if either one of them wins, specifically if Ikram Aliskerov pulls through. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm early predicting Ikram Aliskerov. I think he finishes him. I'm going with Ikram. I have a feeling. I'm going OVs. You know what? I realized to myself, I got to stick with my OVs. The last two letters are very essential. EV, OV, tend to do extremely well. And for a little bit, I was fading them, and I kept fumbling the bag. I've clear-sighted it, and I think this is my prime example to jump back on the OV hype train. I'm going to say Ikram Aliskerov beats Robert Whittaker. I think he's going to be able to out-wrestle him. I think he wears him down and he finishes him on the ground. And I also think that with a win, in a sense, Ikram Aliskerov is stealing Khamzat Chimaev's thunder. I'm assuming that's how Hunter Campbell sold it to him. He probably said, listen, look at the fans you can take. You can win Whittaker's fans, but you also can win Chimaev's fans. And Aliskerov is like, let's make it happen. Him winning secures a spot at the top, steals Chimaev's thunder, and he becomes one of the most hyped contenders right now. 2 fights into his run, and he's getting to the top. Isn't it crazy? Khamzat was supposed to be at the top fast as hell. He was fighting all the time in 65 days. What did he have, like 3 fights? And now Khamzat's fighting once a year at best. It's tragic. It is fucking tragic what is happening to Khamzat. And I am hoping that he can turn it around and get healthy again. But Ikram Aliskerov, right place, right time, willing to step in. Balls on the guy for stepping in. Respect the hell out of it. And respect Rob, too, for saying, yes, this is the best decision that could ever have been made for Ikram Aliskerov. Another reason is styles make fights. This is a really winnable fight for him. I know the Rob Whittaker fans don't want to hear it, and I know there was a lot of people that believed Whittaker could have beaten Khamzat Chimaev, and maybe he was the guy. But the biggest gripe about Khamzat is he finishes you in the first round or it's over. That same gripe does not exist for Ikram Aliskerov. Khamzat Chimaev was unable to take Ikram Aliskerov down. I know he knocked him out, but that was years ago. Ikram's put it all together now. I think Ikram Aliskerov is going to do well against Robert Whittaker. I think he's going to beat Robert Whittaker. Not to say I worry about Whittaker's mental, but how can I not worry a little bit about Whittaker's mental? Because the Dricus du Plessis fight, he seemed completely checked out. Seemed kind of remotivated to fight Paulo Costa in what was an okay decision. But now he's taking on Ikram Aliskerov, who's dreaming of becoming elite. Whittaker has already reached the highest highs in the game. He's had the belt before. He's fought for the title numerous times. He's been in #1 contender spots. Ikram Aliskerov is salivating at the chance. Coming from Dagestan to the top of the UFC middleweight division, I think Aliskerov may have just, I'm not going to say superstardom, but he just got his ticket up to being a potential UFC star, at least in the Muslim market. I think Aliskerov is going to absolutely pop off because of this fight. I'm picking him to win. I'm praying for Khamzat Chimaev. And damn, I'm hoping UFC 303 doesn't actually have the main event canceled. I know a lot of people are probably expecting a reaction to that, but I'm sitting down, holding down, and praying that UFC 303 goes forth as it should have. Not going to guarantee it does because we know this game is crazy, but fingers very much crossed that Ariel Helwani's wrong about everything he's speculating. But there's definitely a new main event for next Saturday's UFC Saudi card. It's Robert Whittaker, Ikram Aliskerov, and I'm picking Ikram to pull through on short notice. I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction video. Let me know in the comments what you think. Who's your early prediction? What do you think about the matchup overall? Do you like it? Do you also wish that Sean Strickland would have jumped in? Because that would have been fucking sick. But I don't know if they're letting Sean Strickland into Saudi Arabia with the damn shit that he says. And also, we have to be very concerned about Khamzat's health, guys. Like, I'm telling you, I looked into it a little bit, and it seems like he has an immunodeficiency, which genuinely could completely end his MMA career, and it's already showing signs of having significantly debilitated his fighting. Prayers to Khamzat. Prayers to Khamzat Chimaev, because he freaking needs it, guys. I'm hoping that we get a banger fight. This weekend's card is okay. It is what it is. I'm hoping that next week it delivers, and I hope 303 goes through seamlessly because I'm hearing the co-main event might get canceled. Carlos Ulberg might not be fighting Jamal Hill, and instead Diego Lopez might be fighting Brian Ortega, but there's nothing official, so I don't have an official reaction video for anything like that. But we know for a fact Aliskerov and Whittaker is Saudi Arabia's main event. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you smash the like button. If you guys are new to the channel, subscribe it up. I appreciate you all for supporting me. W in the comments if you got nothing to say, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.